I don't know about you guys, but I'm glad 2025's over and we're back here in 2026. And we've got quite a big show for you because 2025 was a write-off. And the way 2026 started, well, I guess you could say a whole lot better. We've got the price recovering slightly. And as we walked into 2026, we walked into a massive Trump attack, on Venezuela. So I want to talk a little bit about 2025, why it was such a bad year, what this Venezuela strike actually means, and then I want to talk about 2026 and whether in 2026 we should ask some real big questions about crypto and its viability, or whether we're going to have one of the biggest catch-up trades in history. And there really are two options. Really, if every single market runs and crypto doesn't run in 2026, we've got to turn around and ask ourselves some very serious questions, and then kind of question our conviction as to whether or not we should keep this blind conviction in crypto. So that's what we're going to talk about today. It's our first show back in the studio this week. We've been off for almost a month. Super excited to be here. Super excited to have a massive show with you guys. See you at the show on the road, guys. Welcome back, guys. 2026, here we are, first show of the year, 2026. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'm super glad that 2025 is now finally behind us. I mean, 2025 was, I don't know, for me, I think if you're a crypto person, it was a torturous year. I mean, if you look at where we started 2025, that's where we started 2025. So we started the year at around 92,610. You could say that like from the beginning of the year until we actually got to October 9th, October 6th, which we had, Bitcoin did actually have a 36% return. Maybe you want to argue that something broke around October 10th, and that's why we continued to go all the way down. But no matter which way you look at it, when you look at where we started the year and you look at where we finished the year, and if we look at, I think we finished the year at about 88 or 89,000. It was a terrible year for Bitcoin. It was a terrible year for crypto. I mean, specifically, if you look at things like, for example, Solana, and you look at 2025, and you say, okay, well, 2025, the peak of Solana was actually, and I think we use Solana here as a proxy for the altcoins. The peak was actually in January 2025, where we got to like $300, and then we're back at $133. So, I mean, no matter which way you look at it, 2025 was a brutal year for crypto. I think more so it was such a brutal year for crypto because we had such high expectations, and who can blame us for having high expectations? And the reason why we had such high expectations is because we pretty much had everything. We had a pro-crypto administration, a pro-crypto SEC, we had the ETFs, we had everything else. And even given all of that, we landed up with one of the most terrible years in crypto. But anyway, look, now we are in 2026. Hopefully it's going to be a better year. It looks like it's going to be a better year. It certainly started off as a better year. And I mean, if you want to look at it strictly on the charts, we've been in this downtrend since October 10th. And we broke through the downtrend, and we broke through. Look at when we broke through. We literally broke through a downtrend on 𝗏𝗏. If you could remove that comment, that would be nice. People could see the chart. So you can see that actually on the 1st of January, 2026, we broke through. Now we're on the 5th of January, so it's only been 5 days in January, and already we've had this Venezuela thing. We've had Trump being Trump and making some big moves in Venezuela. I want to talk about the moves in Venezuela and actually talk about their relevance to crypto, the crypto markets, and whether we're going to feel any of that. So, Happy New Year, guys. I do see some of the friends here in the chat. I know a lot of people don't know that we're back yet, so do me a favor. If you could smash the like button, just hit the like button. And I mean, if you're not already subscribed, subscribe. But if you could just smash the like button, it really helps us or tell the algorithm that, hey, we're back. We're like, it's time to start bringing you guys daily shows again, every single day. Crypto love, crypto wisdom, breaking down the markets. And there's a lot to break down in 2026. Because, spoiler alert, I think that we're going to get a massive year in 2026. I think 2026 is going to be a crazy year for crypto. I did tweet something, but you know what? I'm struggling here with crypto. It's with Twitter. it's rate limited me because I've got so many tabs. You can see I've got so many tabs open over here. It's rate limited me. So I don't think I can actually call up tweets unless I call them up on like Firefox, maybe. Maybe if I call it, let me have a look here. Maybe I can call them up on Firefox. I know it's sad. It's really sad. Okay. Anyway, but long story short, I what I think and what I actually posted on Twitter was that I think that when we look at silver and gold, and both silver and gold have had really, really, really good years, right? I think that when we look back at the year 2024 to 2026, in other words, not looking at a 1 year period, but looking at a 2 year period, I think that we will be very, very, very happy. If we're not, if we look back at the end of 2026 and we go back to 2024 and we look at the performance of gold and we look at the performance of stock markets and we look at the performance of Bitcoin over a 2 year period, and over that 2 year period, Bitcoin hasn't significantly outperformed, then we really have to question our conviction into this asset class. The reason why I say that is, of course I love crypto, of course I believe in the technology, of course I believe that it's pivotal and fundamental to the way things are going forward in the way that things are happening. But you always have to have an open mind, because you cannot continue to believe the same theory forever and ever and ever while the world changes around you. And we have to be open to the fact that maybe the heydays of crypto are over and it's time to move on to something else. I don't think that's the case, but we always have to be open to things. So anyway, so that's what today's about. I want to show you why I think we're going to get this massive move up in Bitcoin. I want to show you kind of like where we're at. I want to talk about this Maduro thing. It's just nice to be back in front of the camera. So anyway, let's not waste too much time. As I was saying, we got back in 2025. Terrible year. Why? Because we had all these big expectations. Post-halving year. Pro-crypto administration, pro-crypto SEC, ETFs buying, sovereign nations buying, Trump coming in. Result, nothing. Look at that. Look at the best performing assets. So you've got silver. Silver's up 160%. You got gold. Gold was up 70%. You got like the Mag 7, Google 65%, Nvidia up 41%. The Mag 7 is a collective, up 25% in 2025. The emerging markets ETF, all emerging markets, risky assets, blah, 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 blah. All emerging market assets, 2025, 24%. NASDAQ up 20%, S&P 500 up 16%. Russell 2000 up 11%. Bitcoin down 1%. ETH down 4.5%. Solana down 34%. But the Solana one doesn't tell the whole story. Why? Because, okay, so look at Solana's price on the 20th of Jan, $296. And then you kind of draw the line from there to where we started the year, or where we ended the year. It was down 60%. So that's basically how we started the year. And I don't know about you guys, but December was the craziest month for crypto. Why? Because look at this. So we left for vacation around here. This is where we left. It was the Bitcoin price was 88,900. And for the whole month, look at the non-volatility. Bitcoin ranged between 86 and 88,000. Now, compare that to last December. I don't know if you guys remember the December. This is the December previous. This is literally December. Look at the last December. And it was such a contrast, because in this December of 2024, I was with my family in Mauritius, and I was trying to be on vacation and actually spend some family time with my family, but I was dealing with this. I was dealing with this bull market that was happening. And this December, I went on vacation with my family, and this is what happened. So I got to spend some time with my family. They're really nice people. I got to know them quite a bit. They're really nice people. My kids are really nice. No, I'm kidding. I mean, I actually really I don't know about you, but my Twitter feed was completely dry. Twitter stopped. I don't know if Twitter just stopped serving me crypto content, or if there was just no one here and there was no crypto content anymore. I don't know if you guys, let me know in the chat about your experience. Let me know in the chat Someone says Run finally met his kids. Some of them, bro. The rest I don't know. There's a whole lot that I don't know about. Bro, it's like that. Let me know if you're in December. Let me know if you could find crypto information on your Twitter feed. I couldn't. I was getting like random YouTube content and like a whole lot of. I could not find crypto content on my feed. I was like, where is everyone? Where is everyone? Where is it? Kenny says he doesn't have X. He says, I have no idea. Bro, if you don't have X, you got no idea. You don't have any idea. Is Sheldon on the golf course? No, Sheldon actually did a show today, guys. Believe it or not. Believe it or not, Sheldon actually did a show today. Anyway, we came back in Jan. And this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like. So here we are. The breakout happened here, 1st of Jan, which is, uncanny. That breakout was the breakout. This is a daily downtrend on Bitcoin since October 10th. We'll talk about that a bit later. Look at the first week of Jan. This is the 1 week on the Banter bubbles. Look at the first week of Jan, guys. Render up 70%, virtuals up 60%. Something's going on with AI. My researchers wouldn't believe me this morning when I told them something was going on with AI. But now they believe me. Memes. You kind of want to think that our behavior has changed after this correction. And that we won't all just go running back to memes. And then you look at the 1 week chart on Bitcoin, the 1 week performance. Pepe up 65%, Bonk 50%, Pengu up 37%. It's like we basically learned nothing. Like we have learned nothing. Anyway, so that is what we came back to. The good news is like we're breaking some key levels. So Bitcoin is above the 50-day moving average. So the 50-day moving average, which is, it's, it's like a small level, and it's like, if you want to look at the chart when we do break above the 50-day moving average, we do well, and so we have broken above that. We haven't broken above the weekly 50 moving average, which is today at about 101,000. That is the Ben Cowan bull market line, so to speak. He's like the 50-week moving average. So that's the Ben Cowan line. We haven't broken above that line, but we are moving up. And 𝗕𝗫𝗸𝗓 and I are at each other. We'll talk about that. But what Scott Beston says is, he says, look, 2025 was the setup year. 2025 was, we're a new government, we're coming in, we've got to make some changes. You take over from Kamala and from Sleepy Joe Biden. We've got to come in, we've got to make some changes. As Scott Beston says, look, we made those changes.
I would categorize 2025. We had some important victories, some important policy announcements, some important movement. But as I've described it, 2025 was setting the table. And especially on the economy, I think the feast and the banquet's going to be in 2026.
Feast and the banquet. Overall, inflation, the number ending.
Feast and the banquet is going to be in 2026. Look, I don't know. I get it. Feast and the banquet on traditional markets. If 2025 was setting the table and 2026 is the feast and the banquet, I can say Bitcoin's table isn't set. It's like that child that's got like the plates are everywhere, etc., etc. Anyway, so that is basically how we're walking into 2025. Now, 2026. Now, some people think that the cycle's over. And that 𝗕𝗫𝗓, I can't call up his tweet. Actually, maybe I can call up this tweet. Yeah, I can call up this tweet. 𝗕𝗫𝗓 believes the cycle's over. He said that. He said that every single pump is going to get sold into. He was right. He has been right. He has been the most right. Him and Ben Cowan have been the most right. Which is quite amazing that I talk about 𝗕𝗫𝗓 and Ben Cowan in the same sentence, because 𝗕𝗫𝗓 hasn't been around for 1/10 of the time that Ben Cowan's around. But in December, he was very, 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 very accurate. I am taking a different view. I'm saying, look, this pump isn't going to get sold into very quickly, because I actually think that this pump is real. Now, am I saying that we're not going to go back down again at all? Yeah, we are going to go back down. That's just what happens. We go up, we go down, we go up and go down. But I think 2026 is going to be a good year. If 2026 is not a good year, I'm really, really, really going to question whether or not crypto is broken and whether it's an investable asset class, etc., etc. But for now, of course, I hold my conviction. So, anyway, that's 2026. Now, listen, we're arriving to 2026. We are now so there was New Year's was the first. Then The second, so New Year's Day, there was a big New Year's party here in Cape Town. I went that. The second was the recovery from the party. The third, we walk into the office, and well, not even the office, and Trump, basically out of nowhere. So literally, like the first New Year's Eve here in Cape Town, we have a New Year's Day party to celebrate. We celebrated on New Year's Day. The second was recovery from the hangover or whatever the party that was. And then the third, we get we open our Twitter and we're looking for crypto content, and you get Trump attacking. I mean, I don't think you can't really say he attacked Venezuela, but he moved in and they moved in to remove, kidnap, I don't know what the right word is, but to basically remove Nicolás Maduro from power in Venezuela. So this is the announcement.
Late last night and early today, at my direction, the United States Armed Forces conducted an extraordinary military operation in the capital of Venezuela.
I mean, I agree with the use of the word extraordinary.
Overwhelming American military power, air, land, and sea, was used to launch a spectacular assault. And it was an assault like people have not seen since World War II.
I love this guy. I mean, you gotta love this guy. It was an assault like the people have never seen since, like, well, World War II.
It was a force against a heavily fortified military fortress in the heart of Caracas to bring outlaw dictator Nicolás Maduro to justice. This was one of the most stunning, effective, and powerful displays of American military might and competence.
So basically, Trump got back this year and decided, first order of the year, got to remove Nicolás Maduro, got to remove him from Venezuela. And of course, they were successful. It was an incredible execution of an attack. Trump, I'm not going to play you the whole thing, but Trump actually explained how it all happened. I mean, I'll play you the beginning of it. I mean, this is a 26-minute thing, but let's just listen to the beginning of it.
Trump, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Well, thank you very much. Good morning.
So you've had quite a busy evening. Tell us about it.
It was slightly busy, I would say. It was very dark all over, especially in Venezuela. The team did an incredible job. They rehearsed and practiced like nobody's ever seen. And I was told by real military people that there's no other country on earth that can do such a maneuver. If you would have seen what happened, I mean, I watched it literally like I was watching a television show. And if you would have seen the speed, the violence, you know, they say that, the speed, the violence, they use that term. It was an amazing thing, an amazing job that these people did. There's nobody else could have done anything like it.
You're at Mar-a-Lago right now. How were you able to watch this?
Well, we watched it from a room. We had a room, and we watched it, and we watched every aspect of it. We were surrounded by lots of people, including generals, and they knew everything that was happening, and it was very complex, extremely complex, the whole maneuver, the landings, the number of aircraft, which were a massive number, the number of helicopters, a different type of helicopters, different type of fighter jets. We had a fighter jet for every possible situation. And they just broke in, and they broke into places that were not really able to be broke into, you know, with steel doors that were put there for just this reason, and they got taken out.
So look, long story short, it was an incredible execution by the United States. Very well planned. They cut off the power in Caracas. We're using some kind of technology that they've got. Once they cut out the power, they somehow managed to take Nicolás Maduro, and they did this without losing a single troop. As far as I understand, one of the helicopters got hit, but it was hit in such a way that it could actually strike. It could actually fly home. So, all in all, a very well executed attack, and effectively, I mean, it was in response to Maduro's. I mean, the U.S. I mean, this kind of like look at the White House that we currently have. This is what the White House posted. This is what the White House posted around the attack.
Last night, on the order of the President of the United States, and in support of a request from the Department of Justice, the United States military conducted an apprehension mission in Caracas, Venezuela, to bring to justice two indicted persons, 𝗤nicolás and 𝗬cia Maduro.
Nicolas Maduro had his chance until he didn't. He effed around and he found out.
This was one of the most stunning, effective, and powerful displays of American military might and competence in American history.
Like, I don't understand yet how they haven't figured this out. And now, if you don't know, now you know. Because this is the way it's going to play out. And I think people need to understand that this is not a president that just talks and does letters and press conferences. And, you know, if he says he's serious about something, he means it. But don't play games. Don't play games with this president's in office, because it's not going to turn out.
Don't play games with this president. He is very, very, very serious. And they did this attack on a day where a Chinese delegation actually went to negotiate with Nicolas Maduro. So let's talk about, why do we think this actually happened? And of course, we'll probably never know exactly why this actually happened, but let's look at all the different theories as to why this happened and how these theories actually affect the economy. At face value, like when you look at it at face value, and the one thing I know about these political things is never, ever, ever look at them at face value. Because, you know, you look at them at face value, you get one bit of information, but actually there's usually an inside story, and there's a conspiracy theory, and usually the conspiracy theory is right. At face value, it was about oil. And about the US wanting to control the Venezuelan oil. By the way, I love these charts. I really do. Why? Because there's these guys that zoom in. I don't know if this is like a 30-second chart or whatever it is. But it looks like there's this massive red candle on oil. Meantime, it's from 57.50 to 56.94. Like the whole candle. Anyway, probably it could have been because of the oil. So listen to what Trump actually said.
We're in the business of nation building now?
We're in the business of having countries around us that are viable and successful, and where the oil is allowed to freely come out, because that's good. It gets the prices down. That's good for our country. Now, we have a very sick neighbor. It's not a neighbor, but it's close to a neighbor, and that's Venezuela. It's very sick. Colombia is very sick, too, run by a sick man.
So, look, the first thing is, it could be about oil. And if you look at it at face value, you say, okay, well, why oil? Because Venezuela has a lot of oil. Now, look, I didn't believe this originally, but I've tried to verify it with as many sources as possible. There are 300 billion oils of crude oil reserves in Venezuela. 300 billion. That's like $18 trillion worth of oil in Venezuela. And it's apparently like a fancy type of oil, a good oil that needs to be... I don't want to get into all of that. But as 𝗙𝗑𝗪 says, $303 billion of oil of crude reserves, making it $17.3 trillion. Okay? So the first thing is, you could say, okay, well, Trump did this to take over the oil. He's now got the oil. Why does Trump want to reduce the oil? Because oil basically makes up a large part of inflation. Now, not only in the direct price of oil. But remember, everything is indirectly related to oil. All the machines function on oil. The cars the trucks that get your products to the stores still run on oil. Cars run on oil, etc., etc., etc. So if the oil price comes down, then inflation comes down. If inflation comes down, then and inflation is now coming down a lot. In fact, I saw from Trueflation they're talking about maybe getting deflation, which is negative inflation. But at face value, you could say, okay, well, you know what? Trump did this because he wants to take control of the oil. And why? Because he wants to get the oil price down. And why does he want to get the oil price down? Because that'll bring inflation down. And if inflation comes down, then the Fed is going to have to act in the next... Well, the Fed is going to have to act and basically going to have to cut interest rates. That could be the first reason why Trump actually took over. And at face value, to me, that just feels a little bit too easy, basically. Feels like that's not the reason Trump did this. Also, if you look at the oil price, this is the oil price. This is the WTI oil. And if you look at like where we were on Friday we were at 60, I don't know, was this Friday? No, this is December. This is the 8th of December. Let's go down to a daily, because I think maybe the daily gives us a better thing here. The price of oil didn't actually come down that much. which means that the market's telling you that this actually wasn't about oil. Because if this was about oil, then we would get a sharp decrease in the price of oil. But there's been no sharp decrease in the price of oil. 𝗕𝗲𝗪 has a different theory. He says it could be, about oil. He says, yes, the US has acted for oil before Iraq in 2003, proved that. But Venezuela oil in 2026 is not Iraq in 2003. Production is a fraction of the prior peaks. Infrastructure is degraded. There's no global choke point. By the way, I think just to give you the lay of the land around Venezuela, Venezuela, like Iran, is a sanctioned country. Because it is a sanctioned country, it means that you cannot and have not been able to invest in Venezuela in any shape or form. So the smart-ass people, and even myself, when I heard about this attack, I was like, shit, you got to buy the Venezuelan stock market. You can't invest in the Venezuelan stock market. Why? Because there's sanctions. In fact, it's still sanctioned, which means that there's just no way to invest into the Venezuelan stock market. You can't actually even hold the Venezuelan currency because, again, it's a sanctioned country. And we'll talk about sanctioned countries in a couple of secs. And so maybe they attacked them for the oil. But 𝗕𝗲𝗪 says to understand Venezuela today, you have to look at a 21st century lens, not the 20th century. 20th century is about oil. He says, modern militaries don't compete on troop counts alone. They compete on autonomous systems, drones, sensors, precision guides, electronic warfare. And once AI becomes physical, inputs matter, not oil, but rare earths, tantalum, cobalt, all those other rare earth minerals. Now, do you remember that towards the end of last year, China threatened and cut off the US access to rare earth minerals? Remember that? And that's what started this whole sanction thing and just before the negotiations. You remember that? Because you must remember that because the markets actually crashed on that. Well, this could be about rare earth. And by the way, Venezuela has a ton of these rare earth minerals, right? And so maybe this is a bit of an attack against China. Maybe, and listen to this theory over here, which kind of makes a little bit more sense.
Trump is officially 3-0 with China. Here's what nobody's talking about. China had a heavy investment in Iran. Trump neutered them. China had a heavy investment in Gaza. Trump secured a regional firewall. China straightforwardly controlled Venezuela for 2 decades. Trump's moving in and China's blinking for a third time. And that's why everyone is asking the wrong questions when it comes to Venezuela. The cover story is this. Trump's military buildup toward Venezuela is about countering narco-terrorism and targeting drug cartels like 𝗕𝗲𝗪, which are tied to the President Nicolas Maduro's regime. But analysts go a step further and they still miss the mark when they say, well, this is really about regime change.
It's not really.
It's neither of these things. I mean, yes, we've got a drug problem, but it's actually ties to a much bigger issue. Trump's Venezuela offensive is much bigger. It's his proxy war against China. And he's the only president in history who is actually fighting China where it hurts. As of this week, Trump has positioned over 10,000 U.S. troops and 8 warships in the region.
Okay, so remember we said in the beginning that when did this happen? It happened on the day that, where is that thing? On the day where the Chinese delegation went into I don't know that slide, but on the day where the Chinese delegation went to meet Nicolas Maduro, Trump struck and basically took Maduro and put Maduro in New York, basically, where he's going to face trial. Now, say what you want. I mean, facing trial on U.S. soil, where the U.S. is just, I mean, you could say kidnapped. Kidnapped's probably the wrong word. Abducted, kidnapped, arrested. Let's just go arrested. Let's just go with politically correct, arrested. So it could be an attack against China. And it could also be something to boost the U.S. economy. Now, I say why, because listen to Trump over here.
We're going to have our very large United States oil companies, the biggest anywhere in the world, go in, spend billions of dollars, fix the badly broken infrastructure, the oil infrastructure, and start making money for the country.
So we're going to get the U.S. companies to go in, fix this infrastructure, the biggest oil reserve in the world, or second biggest, because the US is the biggest, fix the infrastructure, and they're going to land up making a whole lot of money around this, right? And you can see that there's already people that are talking about like who's going to benefit: ExxonMobil, Conoco, all these energy companies, and they're going to go in there and they're going to fix the oil companies, basically build this whole infrastructure in Venezuela, which is going to be good for the U.S. economy, which is going to be good for the stock markets. But again, the market's telling you no, that's not it. Like, that's not it. If you look at what actually moved here, yes, granted, some of the oil companies and some of that moved. Funny enough, one of the things that really moved here was World Liberty Fi. Look at like what the World Liberty Fi token did, which is basically a proxy for Trump. It's basically saying, look, like don't mess with Trump, because Trump has a whole lot of power. So that is effectively now where we are with Venezuela. It's been a sanctioned it's been a sanctioned country for a long time, and now Trump's basically moved in there. Now, it's funny that when you look at the reaction of a whole lot of different people around what's happened here. The Venezuelans, in general, the Venezuelans are celebrating. Obviously, they're celebrating. They were living under a dictator, and they're getting freedom. I saw this again. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but you should maybe try and look for it. It's go to 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏's Twitter, and I mean, I don't know if you guys heard this guy. He's an ex-Colombian.
As a Venezuelan American, I've got some shit to say. My family, my parents, my sister, my extended family, all lost everything. Their work, their savings, their investments, gone. Wiped out by a narco dictatorship that has held Venezuela in a death grip for over 25 years.
People died, people were murdered, people were starving, and they're celebrating. Tell you who's not celebrating, and I wish I could show you some tweets. Let's see, maybe Twitter's unbanned me, but I don't think so. They've got my browser. Basically, the Democrats, I don't know if you guys saw Kamala Harris basically coming out there and basically saying, oh, it's not fair, he's not allowed to do this, he needs congressional approval. No, he is overthrowing a corrupt dictator that has murdered and destroyed an entire country. He does not need your approval, woman. He will do what he wants. End of story. Beeple did a very good graphic. Go look on Beeple's Twitter around them putting a Medal of Honor around Maduro and Hillary Clinton there, and Bernie Sanders and Zoran Mamdani. And those are the people that aren't celebrating this. But everybody else seems to be celebrating this. And what it is effectively a show of US power. It is showing the world that in 2026, the US is not going to be bullied anymore. Under Biden, the US was bullied, the US was disrespected, the US was degrading. But under Trump, it's not happening. As Marco Rubio said, he said, don't mess with Trump. Trump has an agenda. And it seems like on Trump's agenda, this is not over. He says, okay, well, he said, Venezuela may not be the last. Now there's speculation that the Colombian president may be targeted.
I think I stick by my first simple.
Mr. President, Colombian President Gustavo Petro, a couple weeks ago, he said he's got to watch his ass. And today he said he's not concerned about anything happening to him in the aftermath of this operation. So just what your message is about that.
Well, he has cocaine mills. He has factories where he makes cocaine. And yeah, I think I stick by my first statement. He's making cocaine. They're sending it into the United States. So he does have to watch his ass.
So Colombia's on the list, Cuba's on the list, and I think the one that is actually going to get attacked next is Iran, for obvious reasons. I think that the Israeli attack and the removal of the nuclear stuff was like step one, but step two is the US actually taking out the Iranian president. And I think if you look on Polymarket, you'll probably find that there's speculation that the Iranian president is actually next. So, long story short, that is how 2026 started. Day 1, New Year's party. Day 2, recovery from New Year's party. Day 3, we get this attack or kidnapping or abduction. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. You call it what you want to call it. Today, day 5, we have the ISM numbers coming out. So remember what this ISM numbers coming out. It's not actually a reading. It's a survey. That's all it is. And the ISM shows us whether purchasing managers, whether industrial purchasing managers believe that the economy is contracting or expanding. So if you ask ChatGPT, what is the ISM? ISM commonly stands for, let's just have a look here. So ISM possibly stands for publishing purchasing managers index, which is one of the most closely watched economic indicators. Why? If it's above 50, the economy is seen to be expanding. If it's below 50, it's seen to be contracting. Now, I made a video about the PMI and how when the PMI goes above 50, 55, Bitcoin starts to move. And when it goes above 60, the altcoins start to move. And the PMI and the ISM are pretty much very, very, very closely related. And what we're looking for a real economic expansion, remember that Bitcoin moves with liquidity. And the reason why Bitcoin moves with liquidity is because that's when the economy actually starts to expand. We are looking for an ISM above 50. The PMI came out, and when the PMI came out 43.5, which was way higher than people forecast. People forecast 39.8, which means that the economy is expanding. Anyway, the ISM has just come out. It was expected to be 48.3. It's 47.9. It just came out. I don't think I can open this again because Twitter has rate limited me. Don't worry, I'll sort this out before tomorrow. Anyway, ISM is now out. This ISM is the same measure that Raoul Pal and the same measure that Tom Lee are actually looking at in terms of when crypto will actually start running. Listen to what Tom Lee actually said about this.
Like 2026 is a year like there's a new Fed, right? But a dovish tilt. And at a time when the ISM has been below 50 for a record more than 3 years. So that's really good for small caps. And as Barry says, if they deregulate banking, and we were talking about this offline, that's really good for small caps. But that's also really good for the business cycle. And we've talked about this in some of our past research. Crypto prices are really sensitive to the ISM. So the ISM moving back above 50 has historically been associated with actually super cycle moves in Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Wait, ISM going into expansion territory is positive for Bitcoin? And
correct.
For all, interesting.
Yeah, and so if you look at ISM and Bitcoin, and you detrend Bitcoin, essentially look at its distance from the 200-day, it's almost perfectly correlated to the ISM.
Surprising.
And same thing with copper to gold prices. So copper's an industrial metal versus gold is a
So we're looking for an expansionary business cycle. That's when crypto prices actually start to move. The ISM is a good measure of that. The PMI is another good measure of that. The PMI is expanding. The ISM, slight miss on forecast, but that's effectively what we're starting to look at. And then, as Tom Lee says, what you can actually see it here. You can actually see it here in the chart. You can see when the ISM break, or the PMI and the ISM. You can see there's the PMI, and I think this one here is the ISM. When we break above 50, that's when crypto prices actually start to run. You see that? You can see it over here quite clearly. You can see it again over here quite clearly. That's when the economic cycle is expanding. Now, this ISM has been declining ever since 2021. It is on a slight increase. If you look at the ISM, it is very, very, very much on an increase. As Scott Besson said, I believe that they set the table in 2025. They did all the moves that they need to do in 2025. And in 2026, we're going to get this ISM going above 50. And I think that that's when, as Tom Lee said, the copper to gold ratio is going to start moving up, because copper is the measure of the industrial expansion or the economic expansion. And you see copper's just broken out. Gold's also broken out, which is why the chart doesn't look very good. So I think that that's going to be what 2026 is pretty much going to be about. So that is January 5th, got the ISM. ISM not above 50 yet, but I do think 2026 is going to bring us an ISM above 50. Okay, cool. Now, tomorrow is the 6th of January. Obviously, tomorrow we'll be back here doing a show. A couple of days from now is another key pivotal date. That key pivotal date is the 15th of January. Remember why the 15th of January is such a big and such a pivotal day. Any guesses in the chat while I have a sip of my water? Any guesses? While I tell you about one of our show sponsors, any guesses in the chat? Any guess in the chat why the 15th of December is such a good time? Sorry, the 15th of January is such an important date. In the meantime, I'm going to tell you that this is one of the best things that I've ever used. This Cast card is, honestly, I spent on it the whole of December holidays. I cannot tell you how much money. I think you get like 7% back back onto your cost card. That's massive numbers. If you want a cost card, there's a link in the description. Use the link. From next week, I'm going to be randomly every day taking people that signed up with the link and dropping $1,000 into your credit card. So start signing up now. We're going to start getting that list. Anyway, it's not my birthday, guys. My birthday's in August. You know that. My birthday just been, guys. My birthday just been. The big thing around the 15th of January is this. This is when we hear about whether MicroStrategy will be included or excluded from MSCI indices, right? So remember that remember how this whole decoupling started. Remember everything was working perfectly until the 10th of October. Look at this. This is Bitcoin, the S&P, this is the QQQ. And then and we were in a bull market, everything was fine. And then on the 10th of October, everything decoupled, remember? What was it that started that decoupling? Well, it was the MSCI. That is when the MSCI started to reevaluate whether the biggest buyer of Bitcoin, which is MicroStrategy, should be included in indices or not. They're saying, look, it's a passive investment company, and because it's a passive investment company, it shouldn't live in indices. That decision is coming out on the 15th of January. Right now, Polymarket, which is usually quite correct, says that there's a 77% chance that MicroStrategy is going to be delisted from the MSCI indices, not index, it's MSCI indices by the 15th. So what happens here? Number one, you have the second biggest buyer of Bitcoin and the largest single buyer of Bitcoin. So the ETFs collectively bought 1.2 million Bitcoin in 2025. Michael Saylor bought 671,000 of those Bitcoin in 2025. So you have the largest individual buyer and the second biggest buyer of Bitcoin facing this decision as to whether it's going to be included in indices or not. And I made lots of videos around why that's important. Remember, if they excluded from indices, you remember that a lot of fund managers are going to have to dump their MicroStrategy stock. It's like because it's not included in indices anymore. Right now, Polymarket's pricing is at 77%. If the decision goes against MicroStrategy here and against DATS, it's quite a big hit for the industry, but 77% chance that's already priced in. If it goes the other way, and by the way, I don't think it's going to go the other way. My bet is that they are actually going to be removed. My bet is that that the old guard, the banks, are pulling strings here to make sure that they can hold onto their power for a lot longer. And therefore, MicroStrategy is not going to be included in indices. Logically, legally, they should be, because they are an actively managed company. They're not a passive investment holding company. Anyway, we wait until the 15th of January. In the meantime, what you're realizing is that Saylor feels like he's getting more and more desperate to get people to invest in to raise money. And his buys aren't that big anymore. He's been buying like 60 million a week and 100 million a week, which is very small. And now he's basically raised the dividend yield on Strike, on STRC, to 11% from 8%. He's offering you 11% a year if you give him money to buy Bitcoin. Like, he's betting the house. The guy's betting the house here. Where do I stand on this? Here's where I stand on this. I think that we want Michael Saylor to stop buying Bitcoin. And the reason is because when one company with one board owns 3, 4, 5% of the world's reserve asset, that's not a healthy thing. And so we kind of want this to end. Like, Saylor was great for a certain point in time. And I think for now, like, that point in time is finished, that we need new buyers. And it mustn't be Saylor. That's what I think. I love Saylor. Thank you for everything that he's done. He's a friend, etc., etc. But guys, we don't want this. So I actually think, out of the bad comes the good. This might be one of the good things. All right, so that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking 2026 is going to be an amazing year. We're 5 days in. So much has happened. I think we're going to get one of the biggest catch-up trades of all time happening in 2026. I think tomorrow we'll actually spend time talking about exactly why I think it's going to happen, why I think we're going to get the catch-up trade to gold, to silver, to the Nasdaq, etc., how high I think we're gonna land up going, etc. We'll spend a lot more time on this. I think for now, the pump continues, 93,655. Up. I think it's going to carry on going up. Obviously, 𝗕𝗙 doesn't. But that's banter. That's why I love the fact that we can bring you a diverse range of views. Yeah, as I said, I don't think the cycle's over. I think we're going to have a lot of fun in 2026. I think be here again tomorrow. Be here again every single day. I'm back bringing you the daily streams, crypto love, crypto wisdom, daily streams, as the market keeps giving it to us. Yeah, so I will see you guys again tomorrow. Remember that if you want to sign up for those CAS cards, there is a link below. Sign up for those CAS cards. Next week, I'm going to bring you sign up for those CAS from Monday next week. Anyone who signed up, I'm going to start dropping $1,000 every day into people's CAS cards. So that's what you want to. That's what you want to be doing. And remember, when you spend, you're getting like 5 to 8% of your money directly back. Like bang, bang, bang. Every time you spend, straight, the money goes back into your credit card. All right, chaps. Let's quickly just look at the altcoins. You know, I sometimes I just like looking at the altcoins when the market's moving. Something's going on with AI. Tomorrow we'll break that down. You can see it. Canton, I think Canton did very, very, very well. We were telling you guys to buy it at 5 and 6 cents. It's at 14 cents. In this market, to get 100% return, I think that's something, right? Anyway, guys, we'll see you guys again tomorrow. Welcome back. Happy New Year. Happy 2026. See you tomorrow. Until then, trade well, my friends.